Uh-oh. Welcome to another edition of E.W. Jackson for President. It is Friday. As you all know, I've got some special things planned for Fridays, and so I'm going to get into that in just 1 second. I first and foremost solicit your prayers. My team and I will be jumping on an airplane in about 6 hours or so, headed to Iowa. It is interesting that Fox News is at the Machine Shed Diner in Urbandale, Iowa, even as we speak. Out there speaking to voters and talking to people, and they're soon going to have a guest appear. One of the presidential candidates will appear. Vivek Ramaswamy will be on, and I find it very interesting. None of the other candidates will. I didn't know that Fox was going to be at the Machine Shed Diner in Urbandale, Iowa today. Did you? No. But apparently Vivek did, and he's going to be their guest, the only candidate appearing. I don't know why, but Fox News seems to be committed to trying to make sure we have a Hindu as president of the United States. I guess, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I guess some of them hate Christianity enough that they figure like the best thing that could happen to us is to have a Hindu lead our country. Don't ask me to explain that. But again, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that 4 or 5 years ago, I guess it was 4 or 5 years, probably about 4 or 5 years, I used to be on Fox 2 or 3 times a week, and suddenly it stopped. And if you notice, a lot of the top evangelical leaders, you don't see them on Fox. They're not there. They just don't use them. People used to be on Fox fairly regularly. They just don't use them anymore. They're not on. So that's apparently a direction that the management has decided they're going in. They want to downplay Christianity and downplay evangelical Christianity either. Anyway, now I know some of the people who are hosts claim to be Christians, and I'm not saying that in any disparaging way. But one thing is for sure, how they approach things never quite gets to the hub of the matter, right? So they talk a lot about this encroachment on parental rights in terms of trying to inject children with hormones, trying to indoctrinate them with transgender ideology, trying to prepare them for surgical mutilation of their bodies, and trying to pass laws that do this against the parents' will. With, in fact, teaching the child to lie to the parents, teaching children to lie to their parents. That's what the system is doing, because the children must be protected from their parents. Well, you know, that sounds just like Adolf Hitler. That sounds just like Mao Zedong. The children belong to the state first, and we know what's best for them, not their parents. And yet they seem to be perfectly willing, meaning the leftists, the Democrats, seem to be perfectly willing to stick children in these homosexual homes where the kids learn from the very earliest age sexual perversion is normal and good and right. So 2 men having sex together and 2 women having sex together and living together, claiming to be married, all that's good and right, perfect. Look, I talk this way, now you understand why the mainstream media does not want to cover me. They don't want to hear from me. The way I'm talking is, I believe, the way most Americans think, because most Americans still agree with the biblical dictum, the biblical principle that homosexuality is sin and it's an abomination to God, and that God made us in his image and his likeness, and he made us male and female, period. That's it, that's all. And you are born either male or female, boy or girl. You will grow up to be either a man or a woman, and anything else is a lie. I think that's the way most Americans think. But you know what? Most Americans know, under many circumstances, if you say that, you are ruined. You are ruined. And what that means is that we've got anti-Christian bigotry running rampant in our country now, where your biblical values now label you and marginalize you as a hater, a bigot, a phobic, homophobe, whatever phobe they can transphobe. Well, no, you're just being a biblical Christian. You're just a Bible-believing Christian. You love God. You love all people, even people who you don't agree with and don't agree with you. You still love them. You pray for them. But that's not enough. You must agree with them. And if you don't agree with them and affirm their perverse choices, then you are persona non grata. You are done. I mean, your business will be destroyed. Your reputation will be destroyed. Your job will be taken from you. You all remember the guy's name was Ike. I can't remember his first name, but he was scheduled to be the head of Mozilla, to be the CEO of Mozilla back when we were having the debates on same-sex marriage, and California passed Proposition 8 to the consternation of all the leftists and the sexual predators and perverts out there. They passed Proposition 8, which defined marriage as a union between one man and one woman. And this guy, was it Ike or Eichmann? But at any rate, who was supposed to take over as CEO, they found out that he had given $1,000 to support Proposition 8, which had happened, by the way, if I'm not mistaken at that point, several years before. They found out that he had given to them, and the board of directors withdrew their offer. I mean, he had already been offered the job and accepted the job. They then fired him. Fired him. He lost that job, lost that big opportunity because they found out that he supported marriage as a union between one man and one woman. You see how good is evil, evil is good, darkness is light, and light is darkness, bitter is sweet, and sweet is bitter. They are wise in their own eyes, Isaiah chapter 5, of course. They are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. That's where we are. And there's no other presidential candidate going to say that, but that's where we are. And I was going to say about these Fox folks, and I don't mean to pick on them, but I think it's true across the board. What they want to do is they want to dance with homosexuality and act like, well, that's okay, that's normal, that's fine, that's good. But, oh, this other stuff is going too far. They have not connected the dots. Because the stuff that's going too far emanates from the root of accepting homosexuality as normal. Once you take that step, because when you take that step, you have knocked down the standards that God put up for us, standards intended to protect us, to enhance our lives. This is right, this is wrong. This is what you should do, this is what you should not do. This is righteousness, this is sin. Once you destroy those standards and you say, no, 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 that doesn't count, well, then what are the standards? Well, the standards are whatever people want, whatever their perverse lusts, whatever their greed, whatever their selfishness, whatever their desires cause them to want to justify, that then becomes the rule of the day. So you want to see more children be homosexual. You want to see more children be transgender, which is, again, a misnomer, because you can't transition from one gender to another, but nevertheless, you want to see that. So what do? Well, you get into the schools and you start talking to children, kindergarten and pre-kindergarten children about it, and you start showing them pornographic pictures, and you start talking to them about masturbation, and you start telling them how wonderful this life by showing them beautiful children's books, well illustrated, and show them that gender is just a construct, that whatever the doctor said you were was just a guess. You could have been born in the wrong body, and you start promoting that stuff, and when parents object, you say, shut up. You don't have anything to say, because you're too stupid to know what's good for your children. We, the enlightened, will make these decisions for you. We, the elite, will make these decisions for you. We, the teachers' unions, we, the school boards, we will make these decisions for you. Parents, you have no rights with regard to your children. As Joe Biden said, the children don't belong to you. They belong to all of us. Yeah, really? But once the Bible says children are a blessing from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is his reward. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. That includes men and women. The fruit of the womb, which is a woman, is a reward. And then the man who has his quiver full of them. It's talking about parents, not the state. So there are no other candidates who will connect those dots. I'm going to connect those dots. I'm going to say you accept homosexuality as normal. You codify marriage between two men and two women, which there's no such thing as a marriage between two men and two women. It does not exist except in the twisted minds of some on the Supreme Court and some who have bought into that perverse view of life. It doesn't exist. But you accept that, and then you're shocked when a few years down the road, you've got people telling children that they need to have telling girls that they need to have their breasts removed and boys that they need to have their genitalia removed because they're really in the wrong body. One is the direct outcome of the other, folks. And we better come to grips with that. That's why, here again, I'm the only candidate who is proposing a constitutional amendment to define genders only male and female, only two genders, male and female. That's it, based upon biology and genetics, not based upon the perceptions in a person's mind. So in other words, you can call yourself, look, if we get a Supreme Court, we get a constitutional amendment passed, which I think the American people are ready for now. I really do, because I think they're seeing we are on a never-ending treadmill of litigation and controversy and debate and it's never going to end, because the left is never going to quit until every person who objects to it has been so beaten down and marginalized that there is no longer any visible, viable opposition. Now, that's where they want to take us. And so a constitutional amendment would not say, well, you as a private individual can't call yourself whatever you want, can't live however you want, can't dress the way you want, can't believe what you want about yourself and your body. You still can. But you can't impose it on the rest of us. And you can't make the schools bow to it. And you can't make the corporations bow to it. And you can't make the government bow to it. You can't make the rest of us bow to it. I respect the right of people to live however they want to live. If they're not hurting other people, I respect the right of people to live however they want to live. And I mean that. That doesn't mean I respect how they live. It means I respect their right to live however they choose. But I don't respect their right to impose it on the rest of us. And there's no other candidate in this race that is going to say that. And frankly, there's no other candidate. I believe that the economy is a shambles. It's a mess. And I don't know whether you saw this story, but apparently the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, which, by the way, I would do away with, I would like to create an environmental stewardship agency that would provide the very best scientific education based upon debate and the free flow of information about how best to keep our air clean and our water clean, okay, without all this planetary worship of Mother Earth and all this cataclysmic predictions of the end of the world by climate change, which is it's just a bunch of horse manure. Without any of that, so that you can help Americans be aware of things we can do that are reasonable and appropriate to take care of our environment. I mean, you know, folks, I don't litter. I really don't. And I don't litter because I don't want our streets dirty, and I don't want to participate to that. I don't want to participate in making them look dirty and having trash flowing all over the place. And I don't have a problem with recycling. I think we ought to use stuff as efficiently as we can. I don't have a problem with doing whatever we can to minimize putting pollutants into the air and certainly into our water. In fact, obviously, we don't want our water poisoned at all, and we want our air to be as clean as we can possibly make it, but we're talking about doing these things within the real world. And in the real world, people need heat, people need gas, people need air conditioning. In the real world, we have to manufacture goods. In the real world, we need energy to keep our industrial and technological economy going. And so we have to balance those two. But when you're coming from a biblical worldview, as I am, you just don't believe that the earth is so fragile. Oh, it's so, oh. One more SUV and it's over. I wonder what AOC wrote in when she went to that high-priced $35,000 a plate Hollywood soiree wearing this designer dress with tax the rich on it. I wonder what she wrote in. I guarantee she didn't get there on a scooter pushing herself. I guarantee she wrote in style. I mean, please, this stuff, their hypocrisy knows no bounds. Well, I said all that to say, all of those issues are important. The environment is important. I would create an environmental stewardship agency, by the way. Again, its job would be education. And the only time the federal government, in my view, needs to get involved in environmental matters is where we're talking about the upkeep of federal land, or we're talking about conflicts between the states, where the federal government has to step in as a referee when necessary, where there are environmental conflicts between states who want to do things in different ways. But I really don't believe that the federal government ought to be going on people's private property and telling them that pond right there is a wetland, and therefore you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do the other because we, the federal government, say so. That is, as far as I'm concerned, deprivation of property without due process of law. That's a violation of the Constitution of the United States. And I know friends I have friends who have told me, people who are well-to-do, that basically the Environmental Protection Agency almost broke them. Almost broke them. I mean, because the amount of money they had to spend in litigation over things that didn't make a bit of sense to them, because the Environmental Protection Agency stepped in and said, well, this is what we say about that land. This is what you have to do on your own property. That's got to end. That's got to end. I think there are any regulations with regard to protecting the environment that encroach on private property. Let that be a matter for the state governments, the governments that are closer to the people and can have a direct connection to the folks that they are trying to regulate or the properties that they are trying to regulate, so that people can have also a direct appeal to their local officials to say, well, wait a minute, let me explain. Because the moment you get the federal government in, you're talking about a gargantuan legal and regulatory machine that will swallow most people up and spit them out. Which in my view, again, is a violation not only of the letter, but the spirit of the Constitution, which is intended to limit the power of government so that you and I could have liberty. That's been turned on its head, obviously. Okay, I'm going to Iowa. I'll be there tomorrow for the Iowa State game, and I'm going to be speaking at an event tomorrow morning, so I'm asking you all to pray for me because we're hoping that the media will be there, although I don't know, and that I will get a breakthrough with the media, and just as importantly, and with the people of Iowa will be introduced to me for the first time, because the mainstream media is still pretending that I'm not a candidate. But I told you we're going to do something about that. I stand by. We're working on it as we speak. We're going to do something about that. But you all pray for us that we can get out there and be effective and do what we need to do there. I might even get a chance to get by the now famous Machine Shed Diner while I'm there. I think it's called a diner, and in Urbandale, Iowa. Stop by and speak to the owners there. Maybe speak to some of the people who might be there at the restaurant after the game tomorrow, and we'll be heading back because I've got a big big day coming up. On Monday, my anniversary. My wife and I will be celebrating our 53rd wedding anniversary on Monday. Yes, indeed. I know. I don't look a day over 53 myself. How could that possibly be? Well, praise God. Amen. Faith in God, exercise, clean living. But I'm looking forward to that. But so I will be in Iowa, making really my second foray into Iowa. The first was for the state fair. This will be my second. And so the people of Iowa see that I am not a flash in the pan, but I'm someone who is going to be in it for the long haul. And I will be there caucusing on January the 15th with the people of Iowa, hoping to do well there. In fact, we're hoping to win there. If we don't win, at the very least, place. But I think the other candidates are going to find out that the people of Iowa are much more in agreement with me than they are with them. I think they're going to find that out as we go on. So that's going to start tomorrow. It'll be the first opportunity I will have had as a candidate. Now, I've spoken in Iowa many times before, both as a radio host, as a guest preacher at churches. This will be the first time I've had to speak to the people of Iowa as a candidate. So it's going to be interesting. So you all be praying for me. That's one thing I wanted to get out of the way. Now, I did have a couple of issues that I wanted to bring up with you. I mentioned, by the way, the Environmental Protection Agency, because there's a story today about they are putting new regulations on truckers that the American Trucking Association believes is going to cost each trucker $42,000 to implement. Again, these are environmental regulations they're going to put on truckers in order to make the trucks more efficient, to make them more environmentally friendly and all of this. You see, all of this is what I mean. We are in an inflationary period right now because of the Biden administration's profligate spending and borrowing, just as if money you just make it up, which is what they've been doing, making it up, just print the stuff. And as a result, the American people are suffering, and one of the biggest hits we've taken is on food costs. Now, these people, these completely out of touch ivory tower elites, have decided that this now is the time to impose new regulations on truckers, to cost truckers more money to transport our goods, our food particularly, across the nation. Now, by the way, Iowans are going to be particularly hard hit by this because Iowa is one of the big farm countries in our nation, one of the big farm areas in our nation. And they've got crops proceeding out of Iowa, trucks proceeding out of Iowa with crops that need to be taken to market and so forth. Increasing the cost of trucking at a time like this is again one of the dumbest ideas of all the dumb ideas they come up with. But look, this brings me back to a common theme that I keep harping on because it's important that all of us understand this. It is not about what's good for the American people because they don't care about us. They care about their agenda, and they care about their obsession with power and control over people in order to implement that agenda. That's what they care about. The rest doesn't matter. You don't matter. I don't matter to these people. They don't ask the question, well, wait a minute, what's the impact on the trucker? What's the impact on the average American consumer? No. We, the enlightened, the elites, we know what's best. And we're going to implement it whether they like it or not because it's what's good for them. If you destroy a few businesses, if you send a few people into bankruptcy, or maybe thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, what's the difference? If you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs, right? The things that this administration and the things that Democrats do, the things that they advocate today, you will never understand if you think that they're about their sincere desire to be a help to the American people. Because when you look at what happens, when you look at the results, you say, well, even when they see what the results are, they don't stop. They don't say, well, wait a minute. Okay, let's back up. Let's rethink this. That's not having the desired effect. No, they keep plowing ahead with it. I mean, Maryland is already re-implementing, parts of Maryland re-implementing mask wearing for children. And the data has shown that it's hurt children intellectually, in terms of their academic growth and development. It's hurt them psychologically and emotionally in terms of their ability to relate. We've had skyrocketing incidents of children needing health care services, suffering from depression, suicidal ideation since COVID. Isolation, mask wearing, inability to read the cues from a person's face that are an important part of a child's development and growth. We've seen all of this data. We've seen all of these studies. We know now the terrible, deleterious impacts this has had on children, and they want to do it again. You see, so it will never make sense to you if you think, well, wow, well, you know, I suppose they sincerely think this is going to help people. Okay, you might be able to make that argument starting out, but when data comes in that shows it's not working, it's having the opposite effect. In fact, it's having tremendous destructive impact. And then they say, yeah, but we want to do it some more. Well, then you have to throw the argument out that, well, they're sincerely trying to help. Well, then clearly they're not. You look at the impact of illegal immigration on illegal immigrants, the drownings, the human trafficking, the enslavement to drug cartels, the suffering, the deaths, trying to make the trip. And then to get to this country like we've got now, where you'd be basically living on the street sometime, or you know, depending on where you are. I mean, you all know that Eric Adams is saying that he thinks that the illegal immigration problem is going to destroy New York. Destroy it. And you know what I want to say? Well, we conservatives have been telling you that for a long time. And no, what have we been called? Bigots, anti-Hispanic, haters, lacking in compassion. We've been saying this stuff is destructive of our country and of the people who come, because what the lesson we're teaching the people who come here is that you can skirt our laws and be rewarded for it, which breeds lawlessness in our own country, which is what we're experiencing right now. And illegal immigration is a big part of that. So again, I don't see the great results. You know, if you could point to it and say, but look at all the wonderful things that have happened. You say, well, I didn't agree with it, but you're right, they're right. There are some good things. Can anybody think of any good thing coming out of this? Well, you know my position on it. I said I'm the most conservative candidate in this race, because not only would I finish the wall and equip it with every bit of technology that would make it possible for us to monitor the wall, I would fully staff the Border Patrol so that they have their full coterie. I think what they need is about 26,000 agents. I think they've only got 19,000 now, and they're losing agents by the day because they are demoralized. I would fully staff the Border Patrol and empower them again, that their president has their back. Go out there and do the job of securing the border and keep people out of our country who are trying to come in illegally, put a stop to it. And then I would have a zero tolerance policy for illegal immigration, that if you come into our country illegally, number one, you can never become a citizen. That you're entering our country illegally would impose upon you a lifetime ban for ever becoming a citizen. Number two, we would hunt you down to deport you for the rest of your life. That there is no exceptions. No exceptions. Men, women, children will be deported. Now, when I say no exceptions, I don't mean there might not be humanitarian exceptions in certain circumstances, but I'm talking about no this dreamers thing. I mean, that's to me is a joke. How do you become an exalted person because your parents violated our laws? No, I don't want to punish children because of the wrongs of their parents. I'm not saying that. But I don't see where their children should be rewarded either. Like, oh, you're very special. Why? Because your parents violated our law to come here. Oh, wow, yeah, great. This is insane. And here's the third thing I've said. The second constitutional amendment, well, I've got 4 of them, but one of them is that I would seek a constitutional amendment that makes clear that in order to be a citizen of the United States of America by birth, you have to have at least one biological parent who is already a citizen. And if you do not, you can be born right in the heart of what? Oshkosh, wherever you, just whatever. But you're not an American citizen. So all this anchor baby stuff, I'd put an end to that. Because, folks, it's a threat to our national security. Not to mention, it's really a violation of the spirit of the 14th Amendment, which was passed again to ensure that the Africans and their descendants who were brought here as slaves or indentured servants in the early case would be American citizens, and that would never be questioned. It was not intended to allow China to send women here who were pregnant so they could have babies, and then those babies are automatically American citizens. Then they get to go back to China and be indoctrinated in communism and sent back here as sleepers. I mean, this is, folks, this is insane. And what I'm suggesting, by the way, are not radical right-wing. They're just common sense policies that make sense for a sovereign nation. Now, the left will think, oh, he's a far right-winger. I mean, yeah, well, I guess you see what the far left has in mind for us, where even one of their devotees in New York is saying, this is going to destroy New York if we don't get a handle on illegal immigration. Well, here again, how long have you and I been saying that? How long have conservatives been saying that this is a threat to our country? Now we've got a liberal Democrat saying it. About time. Only took him about 25 years or so to figure it out, but he finally got it. All right, well, look, I'm going to be in Iowa tomorrow, so again, you all pray for me. There are other things I could get into, but I think I probably won't. I won't take the time because, frankly, I'm already out of time right now. So go to my website, ewjacksonforpresident.com, ewjacksonforpresident.com, and volunteer. We need help. By the way, if you're in Iowa right now, you're watching me, I want to get as many people as I can from Iowa, not only, of course, to caucus for me on January the 15th, but I want to get people in Iowa to volunteer and help my team. It's costly to get into Iowa, to bring a bunch of people into Iowa, the airfare, the car rentals, the hotels. We want as many people working with us on the ground as we can get, as many working with us on the ground as we can get. So if you're from Iowa, and maybe you're one of my Iowa listeners on the radio program, I've met them every time I go out to Iowa. I met someone, I was out at the fair, people coming up to me, say, oh, I listened to you on the radio. So go to our website, sign up as a volunteer, let us know where you are, and believe me, we can put you to work. While I'm going to be there, I need people helping me with my book table. I may need someone helping me with pictures. I may need someone helping me to sign up caucus goers. So I'm going to need help on a number of different levels. So if you're available, help me out. So go to our website, ewjacksonforpresident.com. Remember our 20-20-20 pathway to victory. Pray for me 20 minutes, 3 minutes a day. I really do solicit your prayers. Prayer is the most powerful force in the universe, because the God who hears and sees and knows answers prayer. Give me $20.24 and do it as often as you can. If that's a pittance for you and you want to do more, to $100.24 or $2,000.24. You can go up to $3,300 as an individual, $6,600 as a couple, and then talk to 20 people. Again, some of you have lists, some of you have contacts. You can talk to 200 people or 500 or 1,000. Some of you don't have all that, but you've got a circle of friends. Maybe it's only 6 or 7 people, but you can talk to them. But please help me spread the word. Help me build a grassroots movement, because the mainstream media is not going to help me. I'm going to have to fight them in order to get to the American people, because they're going to block me if they can. And they should not be dictating to you what candidates are available to you and what candidates you have the option to vote for. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the same thing that the left is accusing President Trump of, election interference. They're engaging in election interference. I'm saying it's the equivalent of saying we're not going to put Trump on the ballot, because what they're saying is we're not even going to let you know that E.W. Jackson is trying to get on the ballot. Same deal. Same idea. Because they know what a potential threat I am if I actually get an audience with the American people. They know it, and they don't want that. Because the American people, I believe, are poised for an awakening. And all I want to do is play my part to spark it. So look, God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your volunteer support. And by the way, wherever I'm going, not next week, but I think the week after, I'll be in Chicago. I'll be back in Iowa. Then I'll be in North Carolina. Again, wherever you are, doesn't matter where you are, if you want to help me, get in touch with us and say, hey, EW, hey, Bishop, I want to support your campaign. I don't have a lot of money, but I've got some time. I want to volunteer. I can give you 2 hours a week. I can give you 10 hours a week. I can give you 5 hours a week. Whatever it is, we will be happy to receive whatever you can do to help us. This is a movement about saving our country, the country that God has given us. And I am not going to lay down and let the devil take it away from us, even though he may come in the disguise of the Democrat Party. He's still the same devil. And greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. God bless each and every one of you. So stand up, step up, speak up, refuse to back up, because we cannot be defeated if we will not quit, because we are on God's side.